What's going on, family? How is everybody doing? Oh, I thought I lost my images for 1 second. Anyway, fam, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody's being careful. I hope everybody has their libations and what you need to get through the show. Please hit that like button for me. Cost you no money to hit that like button, hit that bell, hit that subscribe button. Again, cost you absolutely nothing. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/Carnell. You can do that if you so desire. Totally up to you. But hitting that like button costs you nothing. The bell, hitting the subscribe button, not a dime. Now listen, announced this on the last show, but just want to remind you that this is the book club book coming up, Immigration and the Remaking of Black America. That is the the next book club book. So if you have it, if you do not have it, please get it, so we can have the discussion that we always have. We might do the same thing we did. What is going on with my eye? We might do the same thing we did last time with the book club and break it into 2 days, because sometimes my summation and people have read a whole book. It's something to read a whole book and then like you don't even get 2 minutes to call in and say what you thought about the book. So the book club may be 2 shows as well. We'll just have to see what the interest is in the book. I'll have to gauge that as I go. So we will kind of figure that out as we go, fam. But do not forget to do that. Please go to subscribetobrown.com as well. Subscribe subscribetobrown.com and give me your email address if you shall. I would appreciate it. Please, 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 please do that. Also, I hadn't been really dealing much with Facebook. Everything had been so crazy, but I'm gonna be doing more stuff on Facebook too. So just be aware of that. I know I had abandoned Facebook. Everything got so busy. So just be aware of that as we go forward as well. Now, I have a bird. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the bird watching, but we have some other stuff we got to talk about in the context of all of that. Listen, fam, we have, rest in peace to Breonna Taylor, rest in peace to George Floyd. And I don't want to start out on this note, but I have to, because we have to talk about what we try to do here is smart activism, and also smart, kind of, the best way to say it is to provide people with a context, right? So these people are no longer with us because of what happened to them. State sponsored. We're talking about police, right? But you have to talk about, if you're going to have that conversation, and we're going to get to how the bird watching and everything comes in with it. You know how I like to frame it, but we have to, the framing of this conversation is the context that builds our lives into a situation where these things can happen to us and something else happens to somebody else. And somebody decides how those scales are arranged and how they're tipped and how they're weighted, and who has the albatross and who has the balloon. So we have to have that kind of conversation today, because we have to have a contextualized conversation about the people we've lost and why we've lost them. And so, I like to give kudos where kudos are due. I don't like, if I see somebody do something decent, I like to call it out. Minneapolis mayor calls for charges against arresting officers in death of George Floyd. So when you talk about George Floyd, when you talk about Breonna Taylor, what I'm saying is that I want you to juxtapose this in terms of some other things we've seen, in Louisville and elsewhere, right? In terms of not just Louisville, just everywhere. You rarely have any kind of elected official come out. Most of the time what you see is, well, we need to just figure out what happened. We got to figure out, we don't know. No, I saw the video. Well, you don't know. You still can't jump to no conclusions. I think that's a positive sign. I'm not saying that's an end all. I'm not saying that the officer, I'm not saying that the ones who were fired are going to be held accountable. I'm not making any predictions. I'm just saying that you want a politician who jumps out in front and says, listen, we see this happen. And he said that nobody should have to die, like, for being black. He said something to that extent. Let me see if I can find it. But the point of the matter is, you have to try to, it's not much, but that's something, because in these situations, you want something to work with. You want something to be able to do. Now, that ain't going to be no be all, that ain't going to be no end all, that ain't going to be no fix. But what I'm telling you is that you want to be able to do something. So I want to say that, and I want to provide a context. So he did a good thing. You just got to say that was a good thing. Now you got to keep pressing him to do and keep doing the things that he needs to do. Because when somebody does something, they need wind at their back. Okay, keep going. Keep pushing. We with you. You said they should be fired. Keep pushing. Keep going. And if you don't keep pushing, we own you too. We paying attention. When you do something that's good. And I'm not talking about, please don't send me nothing. later that says, well, he did this. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this man on the street, a knee in his neck, can't breathe again, and he loses his life. Yes, you should have said that. Yes, you should have said these people should be fired. Yes, you should have said being black is not a death penalty. Yes, now keep moving. So you have to pay attention, and when somebody's right, say they're right, and when they're wrong, say they're wrong, and keep pushing them in the right direction. Now, what I want to talk about is, see, people say, well, that's kind of how America is. America is kind of like this law and order country, and blah, 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 blah. But see, we exist in a very different kind of country that was created for a very specific reason. We exist in a country that, for some, the best way to describe it is a very lawless country, right? That's for some. That's not for all. That's for some. But for us, it doesn't work that way. See, we don't, even when you talk about the officers being fired, they tend to get rehired at least half the rate they get brought back. That doesn't happen for us. You could get fired from the Wendy's for stealing a French fry. You're not going to get back in there. But, if you happen to have, ended someone's life, questionable circumstances, unnecessary force, we might welcome you back. You see, the problem isn't just the way things happen in America to people in general. The problem is that disproportionately it happens to the bottom caste. Now, I'm not saying I'm not saying stuff doesn't happen to poor white people, but it happens to poor white people. And not all of them, because when a poor white person walks in, you don't really know who they are. You don't know whether or not he could be rich. I don't know. I have to operate carefully. I've got to be very careful. I don't know who he is. But with us, people make an assumption, right? And so you have to understand that, and you have to understand the different rules. The problem is there's no room for upward mobility with these rules. You just kind of get squished. You just kind of get broken down while everybody else. So you have an albatross. We have like this albatross around our necks while everybody else has these like balloons, and they get away and do all kind of stuff they want to do. So I'm trying to find this other one because I want to make the case of how much this exists in our system. Because it's not just one thing. We have a system of, the best way I can describe it is like this system of collusion that some people exist within. And the Trump administration is really a very good way. You saw the Obama administration recreate all these white millionaires, right? Didn't you see what the Trump administration does too? Because people say they don't like redistribution of wealth. But see, we are not existing within this ecosystem. The people who lose their lives are one part of a system that works one way for them and another way for us. And whether you're in a poor hospital and you die of COVID because your hospital doesn't have the resources, or a cop extinguishes your life in the street, you are still suffering the consequences of living a different life than the other group, than the majority. We live a different life. You cannot, there is no do for self. There is no kind of upward mobility for you. We can't exist when we can't exist when somebody else can have lawlessness and collusion and can make money off of their network and who they know, and we don't know nobody because of where they positioned us, no fault of our own. We can't exist in that and expect to be fully American. It won't work. So let me just pull up the hospital stuff, because somebody sent me this today and I saw it earlier and I was thinking about it, because this is nothing but collusion. This is collusion in the Trump administration. Shocker. But it still leads to life and death. It still extinguishes life when you don't have the resources. You don't see it as much as a video, or you hear about the police recklessly and banging the door and shooting up a house. You don't know, you don't hear about it, but this is all the same. That's why you can't play whack-a-mole. And when I say playing whack-a-mole, you have to fix the hierarchy. This is why you have to fix the whole system. You have to rip that thing down, get redistribution for us. Specifically, before you do any class stuff. I'm not opposed to no class, but you gotta pay your debts first. This is why this has to happen. And let me give you a little bit of this. Wealthiest hospitals got billions in bailout, in bailout for struggling health providers. Because this is nothing but, you should basically call this fraud and collusion. Because that's what they did. These hospitals got money that wasn't meant for them. But that's what you do with connections and everything else. And it still results in the same thing. Let me bring this up really quick. A multi-million-dollar institution in the Seattle area invests in hedge funds, runs a pair of venture capital funds, and works with elite private equity firms like the Carnell Group. But it is not just another deep-pocketed investor hunting for high returns. It is the Providence Health System, one of the country's largest and richest hospital chains. It is sitting on nearly $12 billion in cash, which it invests Wall Street style in a good year, generating more than $1 billion in profits. Right? Now let's go on to the next one. And this spring, Providence received at least $509 million in governmental funds, one of many wealthy beneficiaries of a federal program that is supposed to prevent healthcare providers from capsizing during the coronavirus pandemic. With states restricting hospitals from performing elective surgery and other non-essential services, their revenue has shriveled. The Department of Health and Human Services has dispersed count this number for me, y'all, $72 billion in grants since April to hospitals and other healthcare providers through the bailout program, which was part of the CARES Act economic stimulus package. So far, the riches are flowing in large part to hospitals that had already built up deep financial reserves to help them withstand an economic storm. Smaller, poorer hospitals are receiving teeny amounts of federal aid by comparison. 20 large recipients, including Providence, have received a total of more than $5 billion in recent weeks, according to an analysis of federal data by Good Jobs First, a research group. Those hospital chains were already sitting on more than $108 billion in cash, according to regulatory filings and the bond rating firms S&P Global and Fitch. A Providence spokeswoman said she grants the loss. She grants the losses help make up. She said the grants help make up for losses during coronavirus. Child, what losses, honey? Who exactly are you talking to? I'm just trying to find out. Who are you talking to? Now let's go to the next one. Those cash piles come from a mix of sources. No strings attached. Private donations, income from investments with hedge funds and private equity firms, and any profit from treating patients. Some chains like Providence also run their own venture capital firms to invest their cash in cutting-edge startups. Imagine that. The investment portfolios often generate billions of dollars in annual profits, dwarfing what the hospitals earn serving patients. Let me just stop for 1 second and say this really quick. I said this before, but I'm gonna say this again. No other country has a hospital as a business. It just doesn't exist. And it doesn't exist for a very good reason. It doesn't exist. So let me bring this back up really quick. I just don't understand what people are doing. Representatives of the American Hospital Association, a lobbying group for the country's largest hospitals, communicated with Alex M. Azar II, the department secretary, and Eric Hargan, the deputy secretary overseeing the funds, and said Tom Nichols, a lobbyist for the group. Chip Kahn, the president of the Federation of American Hospitals, which lobbies on behalf of for-profit hospitals, said he too had frequent discussions with the agency. Now pay attention to what we're listening to. We're listening to politics. American politics, corrupted politics, the politics of collusion and fraud, but we're still listening to politics. I say that to say, because I say this every time that I can say this, you got to stop telling me, and people have to stop telling me and have to stop saying politics don't matter. The position that we're in is that politics and the political system is operating unfairly and unjustly. It's not that it does not matter. Of course it matters. If it did not matter, all the players and the players would not be there. Of course it matters. The biggest trick that was ever played on us was to convince us that politics doesn't matter. And I always lay responsibility where it goes. You had people like Boyce Watkins saying, well, the Asians don't do politics, so we shouldn't do it, and we should just, that's a lie. They learned a while ago that you have to do politics. That's what the affirmative action case was about. They started doing politics heavily. You're just behind because you don't pay attention. You don't really read. But you have to, this is what we're talking about. This is politics. This is a political system. And we have been handicapped within this system. That's what's happened. That's what it is. But you don't say, because like it's almost like you want to play a game. Right? Politics. This is the arena. You want to play football football, CTE. Let's say you want to play basketball. And it's almost like we operate like, I want to play basketball, but I didn't win, so the game don't matter. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter in general, but you wanted to play. You're just walking away because you couldn't win. That doesn't make very much sense. You have to figure out, like, why is this? Wait a minute. Why are they throwing me the wrong ball? They're throwing me lead balls. What kind of game is this? Why he get good balls, not get bad balls? He get bouncy balls and all kind of stuff that he can dribble, and you're gonna throw me like a medicine ball. This ain't fair. But nobody wants to actually encounter and challenge the unfairness of the system. We don't want to do that as a group. We want to do stuff that doesn't make sense. Let me just keep going for a second here, because this is when you look at this is particularly outrageous. It's just crazy. And the formula that they use to dispense these tens of billions of dollars and formulas, they favored the wealthy. You know why they favored the wealthy? Well, because it is man. But they didn't take into account, hear me right here. They didn't take into account how much money the hospital already had on hand. If you're going to disperse money, you should disperse money to poor hospitals. That's not part of your criteria or the formula that you're using. Wait a minute. One formula based allotments on how much money a hospital collected from Medicare last year. Now understand, it didn't say Medicaid. They said Medicare. These formulas are so important. Another was based on a hospital's revenue. But not the way you think. While Health and Human Services also created separate pots of funding for rural hospitals and those hit especially hard by the coronavirus, the department did not take into account each hospital's existing financial resources. That's where we are. Hold on one second. This simple formula this is her trying to explain, use the data we had at the time, blah, 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 blah. Don't make no sense. Let's move on. It is the latest instance in which enormous and hastily enacted federal bailout programs have benefited those who don't appear to need the money. This is redistribution of wealth. I'll get to that. A package of $170 billion in federal tax breaks, for example, will go overwhelmingly to many of the country's richest richest people and biggest companies. A program to rescue small businesses initially directed to hundreds of millions of dollars in loans to publicly traded companies, while many smaller firms were frozen out. That pattern is repeating in the hospital rescue program. For example, the HCA Healthcare and Tenet Healthcare publicly traded chains with billions of dollars in reserves and large credit lines from banks together received more than $1.5 billion in federal funds. The Cleveland Clinic got $199 million. Last year, it had so much money on hand, its $7 billion in cash helped generate $1.2 billion in investment profits. That it paid investment advisors $28 million to manage that fortune. Oh, ain't that? Give me a break. The St. Louis-based Ascension Health, which operates 150 hospitals nationwide, has received at least $211 million from Health and Human Services. The company, with $15.5 billion in cash, operates a venture capital fund and an investment advisory firm that helps other companies manage their money. And this is not the first time that we saw this. Do y'all remember when I put the image up showing that what's the child's name? Warren Buffett had they said that some hospitals had duct tape. Of course, you know, our hospitals, poor hospitals. But like Warren Buffett had helped out one hospital and flew them some stuff and gave them. Yes, that's how social capital works. So even if you eat, so the social capital is how you get in to get the government money. You have conversations with the people who have the conversations in government. Now, outside of government, you have people who have the conversations with Warren Buffett. And I'm so tired of hearing about Warren Buffett. You Negroes always share stuff that Warren Buffett said about this advice or that advice and all this stuff. Y'all don't share the fact that he does stuff like this. Just like Bloomberg gave to Johns Hopkins. These people ain't looking out for you or me. Stop talking about you got to be like Buffett. You got to, Yvette, you just got to invest like Buffett. Shut up. People like Buffett look out for Buffett and he looks out for those people. That's it. And he's not going to tell you the truth of how he invests. He gives you the basic stuff, the little stuff like, he don't give you the calculus, he give you the arithmetic. He don't tell you what he know about these companies and how he know about these companies. He's not going to give you the, you think Buffett's going to give you the real? Come on. It's just insane when you think about it. When you think about it. But let me just say this too. There are a lot of ways that we got here. You know, when you look back, and I have to bring this up because this is important as well, there are a lot of people who warned us. See, that's just one part of the collusion. That part there, that's the hospitals colluding to give money to hospitals, not on Medicare, not on Medicaid, talking about Medicare. That's the collusion and corruption in the system, right? Then getting killed on the street. That is the physical violence, the brutality of it. All part of the same. So we see who got us here. We're talking about Trump right now and what Trump did and how Trump got us here and he redistributed wealth, because that's all this is. People say we don't want to give money for reparations. That's a redistribution of wealth. We prefer that people make it on their own. Ain't nobody made it on their own in America. Who are you talking to? Who are you lying to? Ain't nobody made it on their own. These people are colluding and corrupted. They're doing it. Ain't nobody made it on their own. That's on this side, the hospital side of this game. There's another side of this game too. We talked about the people that we talked about Breonna Taylor, and we talked about George Floyd. And condolences to them. But we got to talk about, just like we talk about who built the collusion part, who built the system that made that allowed that to happen. Where'd that come from? Because all this stuff comes from somewhere. So this was an article from, 2008, Bad Cop. Now the person who wrote this book, Bradley Balco, also wrote this article, also wrote this book, Rise of the Warrior Cop. And in this article, why Obama, this is 2008, why Obama is getting criminal justice policy wrong. See, there's a lot of stuff that came out that we refused to read because Obama was brown. And we're going to have to get over that. Now we can't just do brown no more. We finished with brown. We're in the policy now. What the policy look like? He says, in the last month, Obama's line on criminal justice has been a lot less encouraging. His running mate selection of Joe Biden, long one of the Senate's most strident crime hawks and staunchest drug warriors, was telling. Since the vice presidential pick, Obama and Biden have embraced criminal justice policies geared toward a larger federal presence in law enforcement. A trend that started in the Nixon administration and that has skewed local police priorities towards the slogan-based crime policies of Congress, like more arrests and stop coddling criminals. The first program Obama wants to revive is President Clinton's community-oriented policing services, which provides federal grants to local police departments. Biden sponsored Clinton's 1994 crime bill, initiating cops, and has boasted since then that the bill was responsible for the dramatic 15-year drop in violent crime that began in the 1990s. Now we know that wasn't true, that it was always on the downtick. Like, we know that everything that Biden was saying right there wasn't true. Like, crime was on the downtick when that whole thing started. Not true. The Bush administration began phasing the program out in 2002. But there's little evidence that cops has worked, and there's some evidence it has actually encouraged police tactics completely at odds with the objectives of community policing. A 2005 report by the Government Accountability Office concluded that the program may have contributed to a minor reduction in crime. That was in 2008. We know differently. A little more than 1%, but at a cost of $8 billion. A peer-reviewed study in the Journal of Criminology of Cops concluded that it had little to no effect on crime. Because you have to understand that half of this stuff and half of these bills are about just redistributing money. Listen, this is white America just passing money around to people who are white and who they allowed to become white. They just passing billions of dollars around, telling you can't get reparations, y'all can't get this. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, while they just pass out the dollars, the monies. That's what the monies. They always passing out the monies. They tell us we can't have the monies. What the money is a debt you owe. I can't have the money. No, you can't have the monies. The monies. They don't tell you the day past. They don't listen. What people don't tell you is government ain't nothing but redistribution of wealth. The lobbyists go there for the same reason that people, what was the man name who was the bank robber who said, why do you rob banks? And he said, that's where the money is. Lobbyists go to Capitol Hill because that's where the money is. Everybody know that there's going to be a redistribution of wealth, whether it's to big ag or whether it's to defense contractors or what. Everybody knows that somebody's going to get a big chunk of money and everybody's advocating and fighting for it. This idea that you're going to sit this fight out is total idiocy. Who would do it? It makes no sense. Not at all. So let me just get to this, just so stupid. So they gave, when you talk about the cops program gave money to states. And they said, we're going to do community policing. I remember they said, we're going to have officers riding around on bicycles. And they're going to be playing basketball with little Negro cheering. Like Biden said he did the swimming pool. He said, I played with little Negro cheering. I played with Corn Pop. And he came and he threw a switchblade. And I said, stop it, Corn Pop. Corn Pop, don't do that. Corn Pop, I'm going to whoop you. And he said that. And so we have this whole thing of saying that we finna do community policing. What does that mean? But no, we finna do community police. And everybody said, well, we do need more community police. We need more people. Yes, we need police on bicycles in the streets. We need police who play basketball with the children. The thing that they didn't tell you was that, like, there was no way to ever make sure that could happen. That was just a name to sell it. Because let me just show, I'm going to put this up and I'm going to tell you about it. The main problem with the federal block grant is that once they're issued, Congress can't monitor them to be sure that they're spent properly. And that's true of cops. A 2000 report by the Madison Times, for example, found that cops grants, along with the federal program through which local police departments obtains a surplus of military equipment from the Pentagon, led to a mass expansion of SWAT teams. Through Wisconsin in the 1990s, SWAT teams popped up in absurdly small communities like Forest County, population 9,950. Muckawanga and Rice Lake, small little counties, they got SWAT programs. You know why? Because they were getting money to just do, like, we got to do something with this money. We got to do something with this money. Hey there, buddy. Hey, buddy, we got to do something with that money. Get SWAT programs. Let's knock people's doors in. Lock them up. What they didn't tell you is that there was never any way to hold these block grant recipients accountable for how they policed. You cannot give a block grant to a community and hold that community accountable for how they police. That's not how block grants work. They made up this whole community policing BS to sell it. They knew it was never the case. They knew it was only going to be sold. They knew they were only going to give money to put more police on the street. They knew that there was no way to make sure these people were community policing. They made it all up. Whole scam. No accountability. None. You just made up cops, community-oriented policing, da-da-da. Never any accountability. And you saw that. If you just want to go look it up, you can go look it up. Articles that were posted after the fact, which showed that, like, nah, this is not what it was. That's Biden, though. That's Biden. That's the nominee now. Right? Because I got my ballot in the mail, and Biden's, we'll talk about that another time, but I'm real. The way that this primary happens, where when I get by the time I vote, everybody's off. I know it happens that way all the time, but it's beginning to piss me off that by the time I get the ballot, everybody on the ballot has already dropped out. That's how did we ever, whatever. But back to your boy Biden. Mr. Criminal Justice. And guess what? It's not just Wisconsin. In a survey conducted by criminologist Peter Kraska, 2/3 of responding police chiefs said SWAT teams and paramilitary tactics play an important role in community policing strategies. Now, when in the world, what kind of community police is that act like they paramilitary? They guerrillas. Laudable as the concept of community police may be, the federal government hasn't the means or ability to fundamentally change the way police operate at the local level. What I just said. Nor should it try. As COPS shows, such efforts will likely prove wasteful and counterproductive, because what you see is the police operate very differently everywhere. Now, here's the other part. Obama and Biden also want to revive this in 2008. The Burn Grant drug eradication program, another block grant initiative. At a speech last month in Florida, Obama promised to ensure funding for the Burn program, adding that it has been critical in creating the anti-gang and anti-drug task forces our communities need. That's your boy. Although Burn has not failed to achieve its stated goal, reducing the availability of illicit drugs, it has made drug policing more aggressive and militaristic and less accountable. And by prioritizing raw arrest statistics, the program tends to focus on police efforts on low-level drug offenders instead of major distributors. So what is he saying? He's saying, like, normally if you get a little low-level guy in here, what you try to do with the little low-level guy is use him to get to the big chief. You want to get the big distributor. No, but this Burn thing, it prioritizes the arrests. So you don't try to just go upstream. Really, you don't even want to get the big guy, not necessarily, because you just want to get the arrest. That's enough. So you just get it incentivizes mass incarceration. So that's why when people tell me, well, Biden didn't cause mass incarceration because that's at a state level. But you incentivize the state to behave in a certain way to get money. So in that sense, nobody would say you caused it because there's stuff that happened with Reagan and we know what happened with Nixon, but you put it on roller skates. And I don't know how we elect you. Now, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell the party. Well, what do we do, Yvette? The party wants, I don't care. I don't care what you want. It's not about you no more. It's not about you no more. I don't care what the Democrats want and what they want me to do. No, I and everybody else. I voted Democrat all my life. We've been doing what you want us to do. We finished. We done with all that. Because what that results, it results like we're still here. Even when you see the riots on the street, when you see Breonna Taylor, when you see George Floyd, when you see the riots take place, we're still in the same place we was in '63, man. Like, leave me alone with this stuff you're talking about. Well, you just gotta, he's yabba dabba do. That's not a real plan. Biden said some little stuff. Well, he didn't deserve to die. What is your plan for undoing what you did? And I don't even see. My problem is I want to see a plan from him, but I don't even trust Biden to give me a plan. I think Biden could give me the best. I want to see it, but I think Biden could give me the best plan. And I think he's a liar. And I think he's always going to be who he always was. I think you're always going to be the criminal justice guy. I believe you when you said every crime bill that's come out of this Senate has had my name on it. I believe you. And that's why I don't trust you. That's why I never will trust you. And that's why we shouldn't have trusted Obama, because he picked you. And we got to deal with what we are now. And all of that draws to how our people died disproportionately from COVID, to how those two people lost their lives to police officers. It all connects. You have to see the connection. You can't take care of one thing. Yes, I want justice for these two people. Yes, I want those officers locked up. I want all of that. But I'm saying all of these things are connected, and the whole thing, we have to deal with the whole unraveling of this system and put our own selves higher up on this hierarchy. Reparations has to happen, and this is a moment, and we're missing it again. And not because of anything that we are doing as the people in the chat. We're missing it because we don't have enough people here with us. Some people just want to go vote Democrat. Some people don't want to vote at all. Gosh. And some people just want to be raceless. So let's talk about bird watchers for a quick second. Bird watching with Karen, because you can't do that either. That's a problem too. You can't be raceless. See, so many problems. See, here's the problem. And I forgot to bring this up before we get to the bird watching, because that's a problem too. What I said before matters in terms of the scale. I said tipping of the scale, right? In the title. And I want to just address that first before we go to the bird watching, because I said we can't live. We can't live where law and order comes down on our heads and everybody else gets to live lawlessly. So what do I mean? Well, I mean, this was an insider trading investigation that got wrapped up pretty quick, didn't it? Justice Department drops insider trading investigations of 3 senators. And this woman has a very complex situation. This senator. How did you wrap that up so quick, given how complex, given how much money this woman has? I've seen people carry out investigations of small crimes that took longer than this. This woman, Kelly Love, she got outlines millions in assets, and you rap, well, we ain't find none. You ain't look. She gets to be lawless, and that's my senator. So I don't know what we doing, but listen. This doesn't work. She just gets to run roughshod. And she gets to tell this whole story. She tells the whole story in the agent. Listen, these people, everybody got to stop lying. These people are lying. She tells this whole story in the paper about, well, I grew up on a little farm. I was a little prairie girl. I grew up on the farm. And then then you listen to people's stories and you figure out how they lie about they do for self stories. Then she says, well, I used the money from the farm. I leveraged it in some kind of way, a mortgage or something. They got all kind of vehicles for wealth. I used it for my MBA school. Wait a minute. Don't say no do for self stuff or ever compare me to you if you was able to use your family farmland to pay for MBA school. We are not the same. That's not a do for self story. That's a big farm lady. And you listen, you were accused of insider trading, and all of a sudden, well, they you know. Now, ADOS, I just want everybody to know how you're going to compete against this. Before I get to the bird watcher, I want you to see what this woman is working with. $3.6 million annually at her day job, and holds up to $25 million in stocks for parent company Intercontinental Exchange, according to a financial disclosure filed late Friday. Her assets include an estate called the Descante. So country and weird. Worth up to $12 million and owned by 4 separate limited liability companies and her husband Jeff Sprecher control. I don't know how you compete against that. See, that's the problem. We like to talk about, I'm going to do for self. These people, child. She done got them people open and shut case. Y'all remember she sold a coronavirus or whatever, the thing or whatever, like was dumping stock and doing everything like she might have had some knowledge of what was about to go down. They done open and shut that thing. You can't, now wait a minute. So that's open and shut. But they storm into this woman's house, paramilitary style, cops style, which was funded, that paramilitary, and she gets shot down in her own home. Wait a minute. This man gets asphyxiated basically on the street for allegedly giving a clerk a fake $20 bill. But this woman may have actually scammed to make a whole bunch of money, allegedly, and y'all didn't even really investigate that. She don't get none of them consequences. See, that's what I mean with the tip of the scale. You can't exist somewhere like that where there are consequences for one group and no consequence for the other group. You get to be lawless and run and just throw your booty in the wind, just moon and throw your booty in the air and just throw your pants off, and we can take a shoe off and show a pinky toe and we get arrested. You can't exist, let alone have upward mobility in that system. You have to change and transform that system. That's the only way it works. Now to the bird watcher real quick before we go. The bird watcher. This is the bird watcher. If you want to see the whole thing, go to my Instagram. I put up the video of him talking about why he loved to watch the birds and the flap, 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 flap. But I love birds too. So I was interested in it. I like birds. Birds is wonderful little critters. Although they make a lot of noise and they've been getting up earlier than normal. Birds used to get up around my house at like 6 a.m. and now all of a sudden they're getting up at 4. I need them to stay asleep. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Whole nother thing. So let me just say this before I go. He was in the park and I think, he said, did the woman lose her dog over this? I think she lost her dog and everything because she was in the park. And hold on, let me bring this down a little bit. I'm moving something. So he told her apparently she should have her dog on the leash. And she didn't have a dog on the leash. She said, I'm going to call the police and send African American man, Billy police. An African-American man, he's hurting me, threatening me, and my animal. So, that's what Karen did in the park. So, Karen got fired, all this kind of stuff. She had a very hard time. She had a very hard day. And we started learning a lot about this man. So, He's done a lot of comics and stuff. Whatever. For he's a writer or something in New York, and LGBTQ Nation came out and was talking about him. And so he might have learned in that moment that nobody checks for your rainbow flag when they're doing some kind of when they just saw a big black man. Now that may bother you, and you may feel a certain way about it because the rainbow flag people may treat you differently. But I think maybe that was part of your angst that she saw a black man. She didn't just see normally. She didn't see a bird watcher. She just saw a big Negro that was in there with her and her dog, and then the poor dog, she just grabbed the dog by the neck, and the dog was giving his statement too. I wasn't even bothering nobody. I was just now minding my business. She grabbed me and choked me up. I was hurting. I couldn't breathe. I was having a real hard time. So the dog was having his own set of problems. I think that's part of the reason they reacted so, because the dog was really suffering. So we go through this. Now we have to discuss how I think it was your sister who shared the video. Your sister shared the video of what happened to you and the woman who feigned that you was threatening her. And you wasn't threatening her. You didn't even sound threatening. You told her to put her dog on a leash because it destroys the bird's habitat. Because you're an avid bird watcher. You are. That's the kind of Negro you are. You're a bird watching Negro. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You can bird watch. But you found out that day that what was most consequential to you wasn't the bird, it was your race, because she saw a big black man coming around her and she was not happy with you. It's a racist thing to do. She was responding to a racist stereotype and not you. I was on your side. I was like, hot diggity dog, I am on your side. That woman done choked the dog and called the police on the black man. Yes, I'm on his side. But, oh, then you did something crazy. Did something wild and crazy. And don't they always? See, you got to understand. I be with you. I be with people. Let me see if I can find this image. I'm with people all the time until they mess up. So, you said all that. And then you used, let me just bring this up. You used your black card to ask you why you recorded it. And you said, we live in the age of Ahmaud Arbery, where black men are gunned down because of assumptions people make about black men, black people, and I'm just not going to participate in that, he said, referring to a black man who was fatally shot in Georgia. So that's what you said. You did all that, and you said all that about why you sounded real black. You sounded real black when you said that I'm a black man, and you know, LGBTQ be damned, I'm a black man, and this is why I recorded the video. You sounded like you stepped into your blackness. The problem is you stepped right out of it. You stepped in it and you stepped right out of it. So here you say this. Let me bring it up a little bit bigger. It's a little bit of a frenzy, and I'm uncomfortable with that. If our goal is to change the underlying factors, I am not sure that this young woman having her life completely torn apart serves that goal. So you said all of that stuff. You recorded the woman. You sent it to your sister. She put it online. It went viral. The white woman lost her job. She lost her job, and I think she might have lost her dog. After all that, you come back and say, well, I feel kind of bad for her. That's what you came back and said. I feel kind of bad. I feel kind of bad for her. Now I'm done with you. Because you owe the white woman an apology. Because don't say I don't know what we're doing. There is no we here, sir. There is no we. You shared the video. You shared the video with us and the world, and we supported you and pushed for stuff to happen. There is no we. You did that. There is no we. So if you thought you could handle your stuff in the park with Karen, you should have handled it. Don't punk out and send your stuff to your sister so she can put it online. If you have a problem with how everything turned out, you should just do this yourself. No, I don't like people that want to use race in the moment and then weave. I said this last time about people who weave in and out. And I don't like you weaving traffic people. I don't like you, sir, because you wanted to give it to us. If you think that the penalty for Karen was too harsh, if you care more about Karen and how she treated you, and care more about like her losing her job than how she treated you, an innocent black man in the park, then what that tells me is that you owe her an apology because you did this, not us. You knew what would happen when you give this to advocates of racial justice. You knew what would happen. You shouldn't have sent this to your sister. You shouldn't have sent this to nobody. You should have handled your business in the park with her. Man up and handle your business with Karen and the police and leave us out of it. If you are a raceless person, right? If you are a raceless person and you don't like dealing with race and you are racist in your everyday life, do not call on race when some stuff goes down in your life. You need to go and explain to Karen that you're a good black man and you don't mean her no harm, Missy. I mean you no harm. Go explain that to her because she didn't see a rainbow flag. She only saw a black man. Now you can't use all this Arbery and all this stuff and talk all tough, and then when the stuff comes down, you want to run off and say, well, I didn't mean for all that to happen. You know what happened? This is the internet. Don't send stuff to your sister so she can share it online. Don't do that. Be a grown man. You need to talk to that lady and deal with this. If you don't like the way this unraveled, it's all your fault. And we don't need you anyway. I don't want to hear nothing else from you. Somebody brought up online how you was, somebody brought up your Facebook posts online, and who you was rooting for. And how you was rooting for the white man against the black man. Now, I don't have no problem with nobody saying one actor is better than the other. I don't have no problem with that. I have no issue with that. My problem is this. That's virtue signaling. Some stuff, even though I might feel it, I don't say it out loud. You will say like if I feel like Cate Blanchett is a better actress, I'm not gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna come outside and be an advocate for Cate Blanchett. Well, she better than what's her name? No. What do you do that for? You do that to kind of virtue signal, don't you? So you live a life that's not blackness, but that you real mad that woman didn't see you as like she didn't see a rainbow flag, because all your friends see rainbow flags. So you pissed off she didn't see a rainbow flag. She saw a big black man. I'm so pissed off. And you called your sister, and your sister said, me too, I'm pissed off too. And she put it online, and then you got mad, and now all your little white friends come around and say, well, I don't know why you did that. That she's lost her job. I think that's just a bit harsh. It's a bit harsh. So I tell you what, let's just make it easy. All you people who normally do that and just be raceless and then run to us when race becomes a factor, and you traumatize us and get us emotionally involved in your issue, from now on, just leave us alone. We got enough stuff going on. We got enough people suffering. We got enough people dying in the streets. We got enough stuff we got to deal with. We don't need your bird watching. But if you want to deal with Karen, you talk to her while y'all there. Don't post nothing. Don't send nothing. Don't record her. Talk to her. If you think this can be resolved through conversation, then you should have had a conversation with her in the park. When she started choking her dog, she just walked away and said, well, I don't want any consequence for this woman. She's having a day, and I'm going to leave her alone. That's not what you did, though. You recorded her, and you sent it to your sister, and y'all put it online. Now you get an interview. You don't get to backtrack, sir. You just should not have ever recorded the video and not called on us to help you. We owe you nothing now. As a matter of fact, to the forgiveness people of the world who just want to anytime something goes down, you're going to call on us and then forgive and then fall on your knees or whatever. Just skip us altogether. Just deal with your stuff. Just deal with it. Skip us altogether. We don't need it. We tired. We got lives of our own, and we don't need it. Just skip all the stuff that you normally do. That's all I'm saying. Just skip it. We done. Do your bird watching by yourself. Live your life. Fly your rainbow, whatever you want to do, just leave us out of it. And at the end, I just want to say this. I don't mean no disrespect. But when we're looking for answers to everything that we have to look for answers to, let's just end it right here. You're not going to find no black and gold solutions. Why is everybody so crazy? God, listen, this is not a black and gold forum. Right now, what you have is gold looking for help from black. That's not solidarity. When somebody's just coming to you for help, that's not solidarity. Somebody looking for a rescue, and I ain't with it. A lot of stuff ain't gonna work, and we need to be clear on what kind of stuff ain't gonna work. This black and gold form, you can miss me with that, because when we was trying to tell gold how affirmative action might don't try to kill it, they were like, no, I don't need that now. Handle your business. I don't need no kind of form. I don't need no. And when did y'all become gold? I don't know when that even happened, black and gold. I'm not doing none of that. Some stuff is just stupid and I stay away from it. But let me calm down and get ready to take the calls. Because some of this stuff, so much of this stuff just don't make no sense and it bothers me. I don't think that, if we're trying to, you should have had a beer summit with that lady and her dog. The poor dog, he not with her no more, but I ain't never seen nobody handle a dog like that. His dog was just choking. She picked the dog up by the neck and he was just swinging around. I've never seen such cruelty. But anyway, fam, give me a few, I was about to say something, but give me a few seconds, set the phones as usual, and we will be back and we will have a conversation. are back and going to the phones, going to the phone. We are going to the phones. Yeah, because see, the thing is, like, look at this. Like, I put this up, but I mean, it's just, y'all got to understand how crazy this stuff is. Like, this is just the most insane thing. And I just want to bring attention because it's just, I don't even understand what we're doing at this point, right? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, I mean, you got to be, I hate to kind of bring this up, but you got to be the person, you got to be the same person all the time. That's what you have to be. You know? I don't know why people don't understand that. But we're gonna go to the phones. Hold on 1 second. Let me take this down. I don't know why people don't understand these things. It just don't make no sense to me. Like, you gotta stay in that same lane. You just can't be weaving in and out of stuff and weaving in and out of stuff and weaving in and out of stuff. Nobody needs no people who weave in and out of stuff, ducking and dodging. But let me go to the first call, fam. Hold on 1 second. Ooh, gosh. 310, what's going on? Hold on.
What up, man? I just want to hit some things real quick. First, I want to start off with that senator. If you can pull her picture back up. It's interesting because I think sometimes what we do is we look at things through the lens of black folks in terms of our marriage rate and also how we don't really get that kind of wealth from marriage. But I think that the interesting part of her wealth isn't her, but it's her husband. You know, here's a lady who you went through all the millions she had, but that's a pittance compared to her husband. If you can pull up the picture of him. What's the trip is everybody have a right to love who they love, but when you see this husband who it looks like she was 34 and he was like 50 or near or above 50 when they married, like around there. This is her husband, and her husband is the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Her husband is worth $500 million.
Oh,
and so it's, you know, I don't know like how we're going to navigate when we bring up trillions and people say that's impossible. We had VMAD finally. He came back around and said, I don't know. I'm just he didn't say Antonio. He didn't say Adolf. He didn't say maybe I don't know enough about America. All he said was a bunch of, I know you didn't know that. And so I'm saying this because I think in a lot of ways you don't understand that this woman's money that Yvette just put up is a pittance. This is her husband, and he's worth $500 million. Jeffrey Craig Spitzer is an American businessman, the founder, chairman, and CEO of the Intercontinental Exchange and the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Now, in addition, I don't know how I navigate a world where if I show up to a party with Maxine Waters, and this goes back to what we had with Kamala Harris and Willie Brown, we had this discussion. But this lady was married to this one man at like 50, he was 52 when she was like 33 or 34. Everybody have a right to love who they love, but you can marry up and you can marry rich and you can just do anything. It sounds like how white people vote, right? With the Republican thing.
Yep.
And then look, I'm sorry, just look like that. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not saying she can't love him, but you know, I'm saying my point, and y'all take it how you take it. Now moving to the second thing on the ballot. You know, Yvette talks about money and money being handed out. I don't even know if we understand how bad a president Barack Obama was, and how much he wasn't our president. He was a reflection of the Clintons. And the reason why that's important is because we're seeing the same missteps kind of with Kamala. Kamala has only one major policy to her name, and that's putting black women behind bars with truancy. That's the one that she created and she championed, and that's her policy. Well, now you're propelling her to the vice president, but she hasn't done anything but put black people behind bars. And then she told you that she don't want to do a black policy, and you're talking about because she's a black woman, but then you don't want to deal with she's not even Adolf. And you don't want to deal with the reflection of why is she in a different position than Stacey Abrams. Let's talk about it. Why is she in a different position than Stacey Abrams? Now, we can get into the factors of Adolfness or what appearance looks like and all kind of other things, but I'm just saying we got to deal with this thing. But when we look at this image that Yvette's going to pull up, what's the trip about when she talks about the dollars being handed out is it's not just, look, they have conventions, and that's the thing I wanted to kind of get to. They have literal conventions where they hand out this money. And in this article, what they talk about, and I'm going to keep it brief without reading the whole thing, Louisiana, prison capital of the world, hosts the biggest U.S. prison convention. This is the money that was in the bill, that was in the multiple bills that Biden passed. It was a way to hand money to white folks all across this country. So they have this convention, and the salesman stood outside the prison bus, inviting people inside for a brief tour. Those who obliged marveled at the steel containment cages, the built bullet-resistant windows, and the high-tech onboard surveillance system. So understand that this prison that she's showing right now is not a prison. That's at the convention. You look at it through the glass and you pick, I want them outfits, states, local governments send their people there to pick out stuff that real regular white businessmen are selling, the beds, all of this stuff that'll go into the prison cell, the bunks, all that. So you have this huge convention in Louisiana, and it's a way to transfer that money that was doled out to local white real businessmen through contracts to make the shoes. What does that remind us of? We think back to slavery. None of the clothes were made in the South. All of the clothes were made in the North. So all them people was making all the money up north, making the clothes for the slaves. So reading a little bit more on this article, because it's just so powerful. Those who oblige, and again, this is this tour of this bus, and it's in this same article. You can pull it up at the steel containment cages, the bullet-resistant windows, and the high-tech onboard surveillance systems. The price tag for such a prison bus, was about $600,000. The bus, along with hundreds of other products and services, are on display this week at the American Correctional Association's annual winter conference in New Orleans. According to the event's organizer, it has become the largest gathering of correctional personnel in the U.S. While the conference offers several dozen educational workshops and panels about reforming the criminal justice system, the trade show on the convention center floors offer a peek into the sprawling private industry around incarceration. And I kind of wanted just to give a concept to it, because I think we stop short of just lobbying. And we start to think of it just as a state government kind of thing. No, there are private citizens that make millions of dollars making all of the things that go into the actual jails, from the phone lines to the bunk beds. And I think that has to be made clear. Now, the last thing I want to hit, I'll let you go, is if you can pull up those BLM pictures. There was a protest. There's a protest both in Minneapolis, and I know there was one in Los Angeles. The one in Minneapolis, I'm not on the ground, but from what I saw, some of the stuff went really left. The whole looting of the Target. I don't know if you guys seen that video yet. I just don't want anybody to get hurt. I think it's okay to voice yourself. I believe that nonviolence is the best method. We are a minority in this country, and largely, I think that we need to slow down. But I saw this article come out on ABC News. Hundreds of people are marching in downtown Los Angeles for a Black Lives Matter protest over the death of George Floyd in Minnesota. Now, I don't have no problem with that, but I'm noticing, and this is a Black Lives Matter, presuming that the news is right. This is where you, as Alicia Garza and Colors and everybody else, you might not want to do Black Lives Matter no more, but you got to do it. You got to be the one to say, let's make sure that this is peaceable. You got to be the one. I don't know if you want to do Black Futures not now, because what ends up happening, if you pull up the second image, is people can get hurt, because what happens is this thing got really, really wild, and people started jumping up on police cars and jumping inside of police cars. There's video of actual protesters jumping on side of a CHP moving car, and then it throws the people off. Part of what happens is that you can't just take the flowers, as Yvette said. You can't just take the flowers. You got to do the work, even when the work is after the work. And I'm not saying that you got to go to Los Angeles, Alicia Garza. But I am saying that if this is a BLM thing, and y'all set it up in a way where it was really loose fit. We, with ADOS, we kind of tried to hone it in the sense of this is what ADOS is doing. Y'all set it up real loose fit. Well, now it's a consequence because there's no structure. And I'm not saying that I did a video the day that the dude, George Floyd, I said, say Floyd's name. But I'm saying that we all have a responsibility to be leaders, even when we just want to sell other stuff, whether it be a census or Cosmo magazine, whatever y'all get into now. And I'm just calling on activists to be activists, even when it's not just starting off and kicking your name off, and do it all the time. I just leave it at that.
Appreciate it, Tone, as always. And I'm always going to add a bit to everything. Listen, let me just say one other thing too. And people can feel like I'm being petty and I'm being shady or whatever. I really don't care. But you have to also be very wary of people who rarely drive or drive outside their gated communities or their wealthy communities just to kind of look at what's going on and say, yeah, they got every right and da da da. For them, like I care about you. I don't want you to end up shot or in jail or any kind. I'm not saying you can't protest. That is your right. Go out there and do that. But I also know what white supremacy wants to do to me and you, right? So I'm going to be very cautious. Now, I want you to be there. I want you to express your voice and apply pressure to the people in power. But just be very wary of people who live good lives off telling you to waste your life, who tell you to do stuff that's detrimental to your life that they never would do to their own lives. They would never, the people who tell you and co-sign you, who you don't even see their face, or you see their face and their face is in a very white neighborhood, and they would never loot a Target, right? They would never be caught doing anything like that, but they'll tell you, yeah, let them brothers have that, you did. Be very wary, because that, you gotta wonder about people who co-sign you but live amongst the people who they call the white supremacists, the dominant race. You gotta wonder about. I never say none of that stuff. I don't even do that. And I live in an ADOS neighborhood, but I don't ever say none of that stuff that they say. Like, you just have to know sometimes when it's like, okay, a con is happening to me in real time. Do what is best for you and your family. Be smart in how you protest and what you do, and do not let the protest lead you into being charged and convicted with a crime where you will lose your life and lose your livelihood. You might lose your children, because none of these people who talk all this big stuff are ever coming to rescue you. They're not going to come and get you, not in mass. They might do a show and go get one person or go get 5 people. I haven't seen that yet, but they might do it. But they're not going to go. They don't have the wealth to do it. And for a lot of people in this space, it's kind of what I said about Charlamagne the other day. This is good content. It's not like real advocacy. It's real good content for like how they need to produce content, but it's not advocacy. And you have to be able to see the difference, right? It's kind of like the difference between the dude on the corner telling you what to do and your daddy telling you what to do. Your daddy, you might think your daddy ain't cool because he told me I can't do that. The man on the corner said I got to do what I do and I'm got to be a man. Yeah, because your daddy love you. That man on the corner don't. Same thing with your mama. Your mama love you. So what this little weird lady told you at the corner store ain't the same thing that your mama gonna tell you, because one person love you and one person don't. Like, understand that. So I'm going to the next caller. I am going to 443. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
How you doing, Yvette? My name's Straybon from Baltimore.
What's going on?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up with you?
Not much. I just want to keep it brief. I saw this today and I was wondering, do you think that this is like a pattern now? Like, we live in this hyper attentive culture, this kind of vain, vacuous culture, that we're at the point where ADOS are kind of, I don't know, like double dutching. Like they're at the point of where they want to use the blackness when it's like convenient. Like they'll do it to the point where they'll risk their lives just to strengthen their social circles, or in the hopes of gaining clout. It seems. I mean, that's what it seems like with this.
You mean? But do you mean ADOS in general? Do you? And for those of you who are listening, the reason it sounds like I talk over people, there's a delay between them and I. So that's the way. But do you mean us in general, like the people watching this show, or do you mean like Charlemagne and some other people, like people, celebrities, or people in power?
No, I think it's overall, like in the culture of the mainstream, but it's like specifically the hone in on us is because we're because of the positionality of of our, mainly our celebrity culture. It's become this vacuous, like, free for all. Like it just seems that way to me. Like he would just immediately go into just rallying us and using our sympathy to like strengthen and like gain all this attention, and then to just make sure that he doesn't come off too radical. He pushes us immediately away and says, "Oh, I don't want to see her livelihood get taken away." It's just like really trying to take.
Well, let me just say this, because I think the life that he lives, I don't know the man, but I would from some of the Facebook posts and stuff that I saw, I think that he leads a life around mostly white people, right? And so, like, I think he's trying to protect his position within that group, right? And the group is kind of frowning on like this woman being fired or whatever, because that's kind of an empowerment. These Negroes are getting people fired and stuff. So I think he's trying to kind of position himself as Obama. Remember, Obama did the beer summit because he didn't want to upset like too much of white America. And so I think we have a lot of people in life who are navigating that way. They're black and they put on a preacher accent and say, "I called the police, I taped it because I needed to tape it because of all these black men being killed." But they turn that off just as quick. And what I'm saying is that, like, we have to enter an era where the people we're around have to understand that we're a tribe and you don't get to turn it off. If you're going to turn it off, you got to turn it off for good. Don't ever use it. Don't ever turn it on.
Exactly. One last thing I wanted to say is, I don't know if you've noticed, but recently Diddy recently held some online conference about the state of Black America after George Floyd, and he named it specifically about Black people, like in a conversation for Black people, but he invited Amy Schumer and Sean King.
He invited who?
And it just goes to show you.
Amy Schumer. Why would Amy Schumer be in anything?
In a conversation amongst Black people.
And let me say,
I'm just saying, like, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. Listen. I don't know why Amy Schumer would be invited at all. And I saw that there was for those of you who don't know, the Sean King thing is catching a lot of traction. There was a new article out with Daily Beast. And let me just say this about it. I don't know. I wasn't there with the North Star. I did wonder why the North Star never launched. So I don't know. What I will say is this. Sean King has proven himself good at one thing. And that's bringing attention through Twitter to racial justice. Right? That's it. Everything else he has failed at. What that says to me is that, like, if you want to go to his Twitter page and get attention and see what's happening in terms of racial justice and the videos and whatever news he breaks there, okay, and that's fine. He has done a good job on Twitter. I would agree with that. I just don't see why after all these failed projects, and he always faults himself. This is not me talking. He always faults himself after the project and says, "Oh, I was too ambitious. I was doing too much at one time. Charge it to my head and not my heart." Yeah, but at a certain time, I have to say that you're incompetent at everything except bringing attention. Now, if that's the case, if that's the case, now I'm not saying I believe him. I'm just saying if I give you the benefit of the doubt and you're just incompetent, you're not a fraud, you're incompetent. If I do that, what that means is that I don't give you any more money. That's what I mean. Except for, listen, for not for no big project. Now, if you want to come on YouTube like Yvette or Antonio or anybody else, people can give you donations for your YouTube show or for that production value. You can do that. What Roland does, and that's fine. But nobody's gonna. I don't see how anybody's giving him hundreds of thousands anymore for big projects. He's shown you that like those things are never gonna come to fruition. So I'm just saying, like, even if you take him at his best, just do his best is what he does in terms of Twitter, in terms of breaking news and talking about what's happening. and he could move that to YouTube if he wanted to, and that would be fine. I'm saying, like, we got to stop at some point giving money for the big projects. It just doesn't seem like, I don't see how that makes any sense. Like, they just don't launch. And so I'll let you finish, fam.
It's like a slush fund to nowhere. It's really weird. I just really hope that more information comes out. Like, I saw the Daily Beast article, but I have to read more into it. But I just wanted to finalize this whole co-optation of the talking points with Charlemagne and with all these other people who are showing themselves to be vacuous, like Angela Rye and Amanda Seals and whatnot. These people are angling, and they're trying to knock us off. I feel like there's something coming, like a smear. It just seems weird right now. Everyone's on a black agenda. I feel like they're trying to immediately knock us off now. Like, so if you just be on the lookout, I'm just saying, be on the lookout for something that looks like a smear job, like something violent in terms of like physicality. Because the whole we're bots thing.
I understand. No, it's always coming.
Turned out to be bupkis.
It's always coming, fam. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in. But something's always coming around the corner. Listen, and I just want to make sure I was clear on the Sean King thing. I believe the advocate as he does on Twitter. He gets to the stuff first. He gets to the sourcing first. He has a following and he puts it out. Let him do that. Let him, if he wants to have a show. I think his competency level is YouTube. He doesn't, from what I've seen, he doesn't have the competency level to go beyond that. That's no slight. I'm giving the best case scenario here, that he's not a fraud, that he's just incompetent. That's fine. You could do YouTube. This show took about $6,000 to start. You could do that. You received enough donations to do that. You have shown though throughout the years when you try to level up that you can't do it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see how at this point anybody would donate towards big projects. Just keep this stuff low. And if he wants to do a YouTube show, he's doing a podcast, let him do that. But like, you can't keep like taking in money for like really big projects that never come to fruition. That's not your forte. Your forte is, if I believe you, what you do right now. And so I think Black America should let him, if they are being gracious enough and say they believe him, which if you believe him and you believe in his goodness, then that means let him do what he's doing now. Don't do any more $1,000 a month or $50 a month projects. Let him do a YouTube show and do the same thing we do here in terms of give donations. If you want to give a small amount to a Patreon or whatever, I don't know, that's on you, but I'm just saying that's fine. But like these big money projects where I'm raising $1 million or I need $2 million, don't nobody listen. Your competency level is not there from what we've seen. So like, keep it down here. I'm going to my next caller. Let's see who we're going to. I am going to 973. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Yvette? I ain't called in a long time. It's calling from up out in Jersey.
What's going on?
I'm gonna be real quick. About Joe Biden and the Biden bill.
Okay.
Just kind of like out of curiosity, I was just looking around and looking at the timeline and seeing what was going on around that time. So during the time he made the speech and he was saying that, I'm going to say he was speaking to our community when he said that, we're basically beyond the pale. So the crime bill was passed in 1994. 1995, we had the Million Man March. So the same people that was beyond the pale galvanized and met up in Washington to make a declaration to ourselves that we were going to be better fathers, better men, better role models, and we were trying our best to say to America and the world, we are ready to clean ourselves up. During that time, I don't think we had the context of racism as we do now, but that was going on during that time. So if we had a Congressional Black Caucus, or if we had a Democratic Party that, wasn't so tone deaf, you can look out of your windows and see that the people that you were about to devastate with that crime bill was making an effort to basically say, you know, we are ready to change. We want to be productive men in our community.
You there, caller? Hello. The caller, he dropped. I'm going to 251. 251. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Yvette? This is Woody from AGOS Atlanta.
Hey, what's going on, Woody?
Same old same. I called you a while ago. I'm coming to talk to a plantation down on the coast, South Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had hit you up a while ago about it was the night that Byron won South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking about that and everything. And as a sidebar, on the Kelly Loeffler thing, because I'm still at Georgia, even though I'm working out of Alabama here. Kelly Loeffler, I listened to a couple of other shows and whatnot. One of the affiliates in Atlanta, this guy's got a political podcast. He talks about her all the time. And she's running for that seat, same as our ex-mayor, because I'm originally from Columbus, Georgia. And I think Teresa Tomlinson is running for Purdue's seat, just like Kelly Loeffler was a replacement when Johnny Isaacson went down.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I know I ain't telling you nothing, because I know you already know all of that and stuff like that, but it was just a sidebar.
But the people need to know.
Was eloquent about.
Well, let me just say this, caller. That goes to social capital too. Like, you know, like who gets appointed in these off when somebody, like all of that goes to social capital too. That's all about, you know, her and she's a donor or whatever. All of that stuff goes together. But you're right. Go on, caller. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can say this next to a can of oil with you. Of course, you already know that. But it was a sidebar because, like I said, I'm from Columbus, and our ex-mayor, Teresa Tomlinson, is running for a Senate seat as well. Mm-hmm. And she's buddy-buddy with Stacey Abrams, and she brought her down there with our friend, Tracy Ellis Rose. And I knew she wasn't going to be about nothing when she did that, because it was like, well, why would you bring her down here when a lot of people down there don't really understand politics and all that stuff? So while I'm here in South Alabama and I do different stories and stuff, I try to, tell people about ADOS one, of course, like that night when everybody was talking about Biden and stuff like that and everything. And there's a lack of advocates in media. A lot of people, admittedly aren't as vocal as I would be, because they're, as you said, careers, stuff like that. I went to school. I was at Clark the same time you were at Howard. So, Kenya Barris? Yeah, that's my classmate. Tiffany Cross? Yeah, that's my classmate. So, so I mean, that's what it is,
All right. I appreciate it, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm going to try to get to the next caller. I am going to 917. 917, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? 917, you there?
Carnell, what's good?
Oh, what's going on, fam? How you doing?
I'm good. Brooklyn is in the house, without a doubt.
What's going on with you?
Oh, man, it's been a minute. I've been, my schedule been changing up with the COVID stuff, so I've been going to sleep early, so I've been catching the shows on the rewind. But now
on the rebroadcast with you.
You guys live, so I'm with it.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, well, I want to talk about, before I do anything else, I want to shout out ADOS NYC.
Okay.
For putting out, we put out a public release statement, and we sent it to get the attention of Cuomo, de Blasio, Jumaane Williams is the public advocate here, and the New York State Attorney General in regards to the treatment and the arrests and the brutality around the COVID and how it was being unequally enforced.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're waiting for some feedback from that. So we're doing the advocacy on the ground here, and we're working on something else as well. In addition, with looking to get the cooperation of the New York State Attorney General in regards to the Amy Cooper and Christian Cooper situation in the park. So we're doing those things on the ground.
Y'all working out there.
Yeah, listen, we doing the work.
I see.
So shout out to them. So yeah, in addition to that, segue to that event that happened in the park. As somebody that grew up and went to school, I've traversed a lot of specialized schools here in New York, and so I was around a lot of what we call the peculiar Negroes. They still us. They may not be stereotypically us. They do some of the things, like you said. Some of us like anime, and some of us like bird watching, and some of us like spelunking and all that other good stuff. But
comic books,
but
robots.
When it counts, right? But when it counts, we are monolithic economically for the most part. Mm-hmm. But with Christian Cooper, he was on I think he was on the Don Lemon show. Okay. And I wanted to get his quote down. I don't want to misquote the brother, but here's what he said in response to when he found out that she was getting death threats. He said, "I am told there has been death threats, and that is wholly inappropriate and abhorrent and should stop immediately." He went on to say, "I find it strange that people who were upset that she tried to bring death by cop down on my head would then turn around and try to put death threats on her head. Where is the logic in that?" He said. "Where does that make any kind of sense?" And I'm bringing that up only to say that, like I said, my first experience with the pure Negroes, especially here in New York, is that a lot of them, with using the term that you use, their entire life is opting in and out of blackness. Mm. And so one of the things he came up against, and you mentioned it in the call, but I definitely want to just co-sign and bring a light to it, is that he ran up against, in order for him to step into his total blackness, he will lose all the white capital that he thinks he's building up. Mm. You see what I'm saying? So he can't be both. So, I believe, and just like you alluded to, I believe his sister was probably the one that was like, "No, we need to make this public." And when it spiraled out of control, he was like, "Wait, hold on. These white folks ain't going to be so nice to me anymore. They're not going to look at me as the exception to the rule if I come out and be against her as vehemently as you guys are." So that's why he started kind of tempering it down and trying to, play damage control once he saw that she got fired and she started facing consequences for her actions. And I couldn't agree with you more when you said if he really believes that all it took and all it takes for black folks to get along with white folks that have these racist tendencies or are flat out racist themselves, then he should have had that conversation in the park and not even show me this for the video. He wouldn't even need to record if you truly believe that.
Yeah, had a conversation. Ma'am, listen, I'm going to turn this phone off. I don't mean you no harm. Let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation. Like, you don't need to record it. You don't need to send it to your sister for her to have to put out. Like, if you really believe this, and maybe you send it to your sister because your sister has more of a social media following than you do. I don't know what your social media is. All I know is that you can't. See, the thing is, stop calling on me to answer for anybody who may have sent her a death threat. That's not my role. I'm the victim here. I don't get to call. I don't have the responsibility to then talk to people who may be talking about victimizing her. I'm talking about what I went through. It's almost like if somebody does an attempted rape, and you say, "Oh my God, he attempted to rape me. I got away. He threw me in the alley. I hit him. I hit him with a cross, and I hit him with and I got out of there." And then somebody says, "What do you think of people who are threatening to kill him because he tried to rape you?" How is that why do I have to answer to that? I shouldn't even have to forget what you would say to that. Why should I have to answer that question? Why should I have to have that conversation? Why are you calling on me? I just did a little jab and a cross and got out of there, but you're making it a little bit of a hook, a little bit come around. But why are you making it all of a sudden about me? And what do you think about the fact that he might get hurt? Wait a minute, I thought this was about what she tried to do to me. And I would have told Don Lemon, listen, I'm not dealing with that. America is America. I'm dealing with what happened to us in the park. I'm not dealing with anything else. It's not for me to forgive her so she can be safe. Understand how racist it is to put somebody in that position after that. But you became a willing ploy at that point, right? So it is what it is.
Right, but isn't the onus always put on us?
Yeah, but I mean, at a certain point, you got to stop. At a certain point, you got to say, listen, this is not my role. I'm the victim here. You don't call on the victim to be the protector of the victimizer. That's not my role right here.
Oh, without question, we agree on that. But I just want to say one thing before you let me go.
Sure.
Before I start getting shouts from the chat that I'm being long-winded, but I ain't going the wild, so give me some space. I was actually there's a group of friends that that I've been working on and advocating and giving the data points. And so recently we had a group call, and it was a couple of us all black, and I wasn't even aware that some of us were ADOS and non-ADOS, from the Caribbean. And so we were talking about everything from black business and what's going on with Biden. It was shortly after that debacle of a interview with Charlamagne the God. And so we got to talking about things, and I started hitting them with the data. And one of the girls in the group, she asked me if I went to school, what I went to school for. And she was solely convinced that I went to school for political science or African American studies. And I just want to let you know that I shouted out. I said, no, but I did have two of the best professors on the planet.
That's nice.
Professor Antonio Moore and Professor Yvette Carnell. And I went to the University of Breakingbrown in the School of Hard Knocks. So, I just want you to know that the education that you are providing, you in tone with the data, and of course, Dr. Darity, it is second to none and is rivaling what these people are learning in the industry, learning in these PWIs and also these HBCUs, because she just could not comprehend all the data points that they don't learn, that she was saying this and that. And I was like, no, you really need to go see, the myths about, closing the racial wealth gap. And all these things, she just did not understand it and didn't understand why she didn't learn it. And so I want to close on this because I saw it in the chat, and I was talking to one lady in the chat before you picked up my call. Because one of the women, another girl in the group, she was from Guyana. And she was, after I started talking about the data points and how, we need to really find out, because a lot of the, immigration is masking our numbers, she hit me with the typical, well, that's kind of divisive. And so, one of the women in the chat was saying as well, and I asked her, and I posed it to Deborah in the chat too, because she said we were being divisive, and I was like, you're from Guyana. I was like, has anybody from, in your family or in your friends that's from Guyana, have they ever been ashamed to claim, Guyana? And she said no. I was like, okay, so that's really all we're doing. But on top of that, I was like, when you've heard anybody from Guyana say, oh, I'm not like them, or we're not black Americans, or we come here and we have success because they're lazy, I was like, do you say, when they say that, do you tell them to stop being divisive like you're telling me to stop being divisive? And she said no. And I said, exactly. I was like, so what we're asking for you, if you're going to be an ally, if you want to act like black is all the same, and you want to tell me that black is the same to you, I need you to I didn't even ask you to do nothing special. I need you to have the same energy. Either you don't say nothing to me when I claim and represent my ADOSness, or when you tell me I'm being divisive, I need you to tell your grandmother, your pappy, your uncle, your cousin, your ex, when they say the same things about us, I need you to check them and say, stop being divisive.
But let me just say, fam, I agree with you to a certain extent, but you're still being too generous. Because they are being very derogatory in saying we're lazy or whatever towards ADOS. But we are not doing that at all. By saying that we're American and we deserve reparations, we're not being derogatory or demeaning to any other group. And we're Americans. We're here. We're the reason you are able to be here is because we paved the pathway. So even saying like there is still, even with what you said, there's no sameness. There's no sameness like with her saying what she says and what we say. What we're saying is just facts. What you're saying is derogatory to the people who paved the way for you to be here. Make it make sense to me.
Hey, man, they can't make it make sense. And you preach it in the choir, but sometimes the choir need the word too. So I'm not even mad at you. And you're right. We know that, but it's almost like they can't see that or don't want to see that because their mere existence, that mere ideology, that mere thought process that they have can exist when they come to the realization of what you just told me.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's the truth. I think that's absolutely the truth. I think you can't, there's no sameness to, well, if y'all do it this way, y'all do it this way. No, you're still discounting your citizenship. Like, I'm American. And I'm not just American. Like, I'm not just here and was here first. I'm the group that built the country. Not only that, like, I don't know if there would be any brown people in this country if we hadn't fought for the rights that we fought for as ADOS. So, like, I get to own all of that, and you don't get to say that I don't. You don't get to say a word. Like, well, why are you talking? Why are you talking to me? Like, why are you talking to me about this? You don't do this to anybody else, but you just feel like you can do it. And that's racist in a sense of ADO. That's anti-ADOS rhetoric. And I take issue with it. I'm going to 3109 because I have 2 310s in the chat. 3109, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What's up, Yvette?
Hey.
This is Kim calling from Los Angeles. I just wanted to say I've been listening to this show for a very, very long time. And
Okay.
it's a lot of people that come in, they've been here for like a year or 6 months. I just want to give you your props. I know a lot of times people, tell you how much they love you and how much you changed their lives, but I think that just needs to continue to be said.
Oh, thank you, fam. I appreciate it.
I thought that I was a critical thinker, and the more that I've watched this show, even when the times I am critical of you, and some of your
That's
views,
fine.
so many things that I may have disagreed with have come to pass and just have opened my eyes. So I just want to give you your props first and foremost. But
Okay.
I think it is interesting.
Thank you.
When we kind of, and I mean, way back, I think in like 2015 or 2016, one of the shows when you all first started using ADOS, I actually called into that show and said that this was the flyest and dopest thing that you had came up with, and just to see how it's grown and expanded and become like a part of the American vernacular. I'm just interested to see how we attract more folks to understand the truth about themselves, So it's just amazing to see the growth, and so proud of you and just seeing it grow.
Thank you, fam.
From a grassroots place on YouTube. So it's just super amazing. But
Thank
I just
you.
want to comment on just like this guy here. We still are in this forgiveness phase, like anytime we're wrong, for whatever reason, we still want to, we forgive, we forgive. And it was interesting to see even George Floyd, and I know I don't want the chat to go crazy or anything like that. His fiance, which happens to be a white woman, is giving a news interview, and she states that George would have wanted you to have grace in this moment. Don't be mean to the officers. Don't say this. So it just seems like no matter how wrong we are, there's always still a black person who says, that they forgive, or
well, not in this case, a white person.
I don't want this person to lose their job, and it's heartening to see the impact that white supremacy has had on our own identity, our mental state, that we don't deserve. I think we've internalized this idea that we don't deserve justice. And I see it with the reparations argument. I mean, in 2016, I voted for Jill Stein just because she was one of the few people, even though it was the Green Party and it was a small thing, they mentioned reparations. Not to say that it was going to happen, but they just actually had the faith or the courage to mention it. And I think a lot of the young kids today don't even understand that we throw around reparations today, but reparations was like a swear word just 15 years ago. For someone to get on television and say, what do you think about reparations?
No, it was, and
that was like a curse word.
Fam, let me say this. I'm going to say this. I'm not no spring chicken. I'm 45. Let me say this. I remember when saying reparations was a joke. Everybody likes to talk about, like, I'm not saying that after the Civil War there wasn't a reparations push, but everybody likes to talk about, ADOS is just a culmination of a lot of. No, it ain't. I remember when when reparations was a joke. It was a joke. You would get laughed out of a room if you said it. Now we have normalized it and made the case for it. I don't even understand, and I'm talking about in terms of advocacy. I appreciate Ta-Nehisi posting this article, but you have to have advocacy and you have to have people behind it, and you have to be willing to lead that advocacy and push for it. It's wonderful to write something. It's wonderful, and I saluted him for writing what he wrote. But you have to be able to push everybody in the chat, everybody on the phone, everybody who's going to watch this. These are the people who are responsible for pushing this in person, in groups, online, showing up, recording Congress people, all that stuff. All of that is responsible for this. And people are trying, to me, at least, to rob ADOS of what ADOS has built. You can't do that, though. It's not going to work.
Right, and I know you all have built it. I've watched it. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I just want to say, keep up the hard work. The reparation, again, I'm 43 years old. I recall some of the small grassroots groups that would talk about reparations, in Chicago with Farrakhan and folks who had a small little symposium like at Chicago State University. You just had these small groups of people that would talk about reparations. But it's never been on a national scale like this. And you guys really are the key drivers who kind of brought this to the forefront. And so don't ever forget that. And I don't want anybody on this that's watching this or who pops up 2 years from now and they catch this video to ever forget that you all really made this happen, man. So I'm going to keep fighting for it.
And everybody who joined in, like everybody who joined in and went to the HR 40 hearing, everybody who joined in and has shown up to their congressperson's office or called their congressperson or went to their state lawmaker. Like that's what it is. Thank you, fam. I'm gonna let you go because that's probably gonna be our last call of the night. But please don't forget, fam, we're gonna do what I announced. When did I announce it? My mind going. The third Thursday of every month, we're going to do a just call in show, because I know a lot of people don't get to call into the show because the show goes so long. So do not forget that every third Thursday. Now the book club, like the next book club, remember we said it's going to be July. That's going to be July that's June. July the 30th, which is on a Thursday. That's going to be the next book club. That's July the 30th, which is on a Thursday. So don't forget that. But every month, so we'll have a Monday show, we'll have a Wednesday show, and on the third Thursday of the month, we will have just a call-in show, because we never get to everybody. The queue has been excessively full. It's just so full as of late that it used to be a time back in the day where it was just like 3 or 4 people or 4 or 5 people in the queue. Now, like, it's just full. It's just like 20 people, 30 people, and they just keep coming and coming. So the third Thursday, and we will start that. We've already missed it for May. We will start that in June. So the third Thursday, we'll have an only call-in show, and we'll have a discussion. Listen, a lot of you people who were talking, I announced the StreamYard thing for the debates, and I was gonna moderate them. A lot of you people who love to have Twitter fights online are really not keen to have the debate with somebody, because I ain't heard from a lot of you people. And if you're going to send me a text with the subject line StreamYard, because I ain't heard from a lot of you people you talk a lot of smack online about what should or shouldn't be done or what you agree or disagree with, and you don't want to line up with somebody who agrees or disagrees so we can have the debate and you all can showcase yourselves and showcase your points of view. I haven't seen much of that. I'm just saying. I don't mean to shout nobody out. I don't mean to do it. So, fam, we are at the end of this show. This show went a little long. I think we went a little long. So, just please make sure you hit that like button for me. That like button is very important. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe. That subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. And it's kind of like the woman just said. You may disagree with me sometimes. You may not. But, like, this is your tribe, regardless of whether you agree with Yvette. The people in the chat and the people that you encounter with the ADOS hashtag online are your tribe. Oh, I hurt my shoulder sometime trying to lift a weight. Oh, God, Jesus. Anyway, so just remember that. Please please subscribe, please hit the bell. I would appreciate if you hit that bell to get your notifications. I try to send the notifications out on Twitter, but even if I can't, just make sure. So just get the bell. Some people say the bell is late. I don't know, but just make sure you hit it regardless. I'd appreciate it. All right, hit that bell. Go to if you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell, all of that kind of good stuff. Okay. For those of you who did not see the book club title, this is the book, Immigration and the Remaking of Black America. The book club, like I said, is July the 30th. That's a Thursday. That's the last Thursday. Before that, the Thursday before, of course, we will have the only call-in show. So please keep that in mind. Hit that like button before you leave. Please hit that like button before you leave. Cost you nothing. Cost you nothing to go to subscribetobrown.com as well and add your name to my email list. I would appreciate that as well. So everybody, please be safe. Please finish your libation. I had to call in because I know I hate the people to be online listening and wanting to say something, and you wait all that time and you can't say nothing. It makes me feel away. I don't like it. So we're gonna do that. So fam, be easy breezy as usual. It's about time to go to bed. Get yourself in bed. Put your little what people wear to bed. Put your little hat on or whatever. Remember those little shows, the cartoons wore little hats to bed. Anyway, put your PJs on or whatever. Get comfortable. Go to bed. Get some rest. It's stressful. A lot of stressful stuff going on in the news. We still got the coronavirus. Just take care of yourself. Relax yourself. Don't be too stressed. Don't deplete your immune system. Take your vitamins. Be safe. Wash your hands still. You still got to be vigilant, fam. Don't get out here and go to these parties and stuff just because you think everything is over. It's not over. Just wash your hands. Take care of yourself. Wear your mask if you're out. I have only been out a couple times, but I wear my mask whenever I go anywhere. I wear my mask everywhere I go. So please wear your mask. You know, it may feel silly. It may feel uncomfortable. But just do it because you need to do it, and people around you care about you. And if don't nobody in your world care about you, ADOS care about you, I care about you, we care about you. So take care of yourself and do what you need to do. And we will talk soon, family. Easy breezy. Good night.